Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Cropper here. So, I did a video on art, and Justin Wisniewski said, "Wow, awesome!" He did a video, and in there I said I did 100 or 150 watercolors, and I wasn't going to worry about showing them because they're too small. And he was a bit impressed with that, so I want to set the record straight. They're not that impressive. I'm going to show a few of them here. I don't think we'll show all of them, but to give you an idea of what I mean by they're a bit small, this is a booklet, and see, it's got 3 or 4 pages. Sometimes I cut one of the pages off. If I really like it, I'll cut it off and frame it. But I carry these in my pocket, in my coat pocket, and I even have a little traveling watercolor set. And if I get stuck somewhere at the dentist, waiting to go into the dentist or waiting for my oil to be changed, I just pull out my little teeny tiny book. And a couple of times I've sketched people that are sitting there or whatever, and then I hand it to them at the end just for fun. But that gives you an idea of how tiny some of my watercolor paintings are. Isn't that a cute little book? On this one day my wife just walked up and took a paintbrush and did these swatches across there, and I just darkened a couple of them to make mountains, and then I put these foreground foliage in, and I showed her. I said, "You remember when you came over and just screwed with my little paper and put those, yeah, here's what I did with it." So I thought that was cute. And there's another. These are so small you can't do a lot with them. This is terrible. I don't know what happened here. This needs to be worked on. That's terrible. Oh, and then this is just in progress, but it's cute. It's an harsh outline. And then I do different sizes. There's a cafe scene or something. Not very good. And the rest of that's, oh no, and then on the back, what's that? That's not very good. I'm not sure what's going on there. I guess I'm still working on that. And that's hardly legible. But the fun thing about these is it doesn't matter. They're 1 inch by 2 inches, and so you don't have to worry. And what do we have here? A little Siberian cabin nonsense. Oh, I like this one. There we go. There's a train. That's lovely, isn't it? I wonder if these are, maybe if I could get it any bit closer. No, that's insane. Lose all the detail. And, oh, see this composition? I do this composition over and over. The house, the road, sometimes people, sometimes a telephone pole, sometimes different things. And then sometimes it just doesn't work, and you try, but it just doesn't work, and you say, I don't know what it's missing there. Anybody that wants to give any feedback is fine. Oh, these are my daughters. Sonia, my daughter, doing a little bit of a truck. Now, I did some of the line drawings in these for her, and she painted them in. And a line drawing of a Jeep that I never painted. Astronauts or something walking through ruins, and that's somebody else's. Bobby Chu. That's his painting or composition. That's my painting, but his composition. This is along my motif of blocking whatever I'm trying to look at, and the subject of the painting is obscured. Not my motif, it's some guy I saw and I thought, it's refreshing. So, I don't know, it's suffocating too. My grandpa. This is my great-great-grandpa, I think, or else my great-grandpa on a thresher. And it's from an oil painting. That's the horses, a detail of the horses, and then him. And that's from an oil painting that was done of him when they had replaced these machines with tractors. and my grandpa and my great-grandpa, they took the team of horses out and they hired an oil painter and they went out in the field and they hitched them up to this piece of machinery and they got this painting, and that was the last time that that piece of machinery ever moved. And it's still setting in that field to this day out there in the middle of Utah. And that was in like the 1920s. And they wanted to capture that piece of machinery in use for the last time ever. And so that's my grandpa, and that is the homestead in Holden, Utah, where my ancestors were from. And someday I'm going to do a nice big version of that painting like the one that's in my dad's house. Alright, now this happens sometimes if you have markers. I bought like artsy-fartsy markers, and I don't know how to use them, so it just turns out like that. A little rowboat. Values are a bit dark in the water there, so it's messing with things. Now here's what a line drawing looks like before I start painting on it. There's a cute one that I would like to paint sometime. That's cute. Some of these are a bit garish. I use Sakura pens to do the Sakura Micron. That's a colored one. I use those to do the lines and stuff. That one's not done. It's going to need some detail. It's supposed to be a guard tower like in the forest. And when I was working on this, I wanted a colorful forest. So I was working on that, and it didn't. I've got blue and red in there, and it's weird. Little drawing that's not yet painted in. And it's nice to carry a few of these with you, and you don't know whether you want to open it up and draw something or open up and paint one of the ones you already drew. So it's fun. Okay, a cowboy on a horse. Pretty bad. The house Trius interruptus. I should name that Trius interruptus. Here's that same composition, not Trius interruptus, but that one with the road and the little house to the side. Let's see, that's a bit of Trius interruptus almost, sort of, or Trias subject. See, I told you I had a lot of them. They're small. Gee, I got a stack. Oh boy. This one, I have gone back and worked on this again and again and again. I think I got the perspectives. I got one perspective here and a different one there. And it just can't be saved. That house was floating for so long, and now I look at it and I can see there are no shadows. But boy, I've worked on this thing and gone back and worked on it, and I'm trying to get it to look half decent. This is a funny story here. I actually was doing, this was a tree, and it's like a tall pine tree, and it came down here, had some foliage, and as I was building it, I said, that's not a tree, that's a damn boat. So then I made this into water, and I put a couple more boats out there. I said, that's a bunch of boats. I was trying to do a tree. And then this one I said, well, if it's that easy to do boats, let's try again. So I did it again. While we're doing that, I'll do these boats. This is a framed picture. Cute little, and this is line and wash. Do a line drawing and then wash it. And then just a sunset where I wanted a pink sky. I said, I'm sick of blue skies. I want a pink sky. So I did, and it's fine. It's fine. Okay. This composition again. Haven't finished painting. That's done with a bit of marker in there. Here's a fun composition I haven't mastered yet, but there's going to be a guy with a musket and a Civil War cap walking past a Civil War era house. That's what's going to happen. Alright, this is just showing the geometric shapes of the fields was fun, I thought. Cute little thing. Let's see. Tony up in Boston was visiting his friend, and he snapped a picture of his friend's house and put it up. And that is my drawing of his friend's house. He may or may not recognize it. Here is what I thought at first was a tree, but turned out to be some vegetation being reflected in the water, actually. But I was doing a tree when I started, but I said, no, that's actually a shoreline with vegetation being reflected in the water. Sometimes you have to listen to your paint. Here's what happens when you don't listen to your paint and you just say, I'm going to paint today, and you just start painting. I'm going to paint! And you don't have a plan. You have a disaster. Here's what happens when all your color values are about equal. The foreground has that little log in the bottom, but other than that, the painting is sort of flat. There's a bit of flatness. The drawing itself has depth, but the painting is a bit flat. This one I like. Very rich in colors, but oh, it's okay. It's not great. I like the composition. I like the little, and you'll probably see more of that, the little red bridge, covered bridge. More Trias Interruptus with a tiny city poking through in the back. This is a village in Indonesia. I didn't put little roosters in the foreground, but this is from a painting I saw a guy do on YouTube, and he had some roosters and chickens in the foreground. I liked this, and I've done quite a few. I'm over it now, but that house that is on the hill there doesn't require any perspective, and you get all your perspective from the sidewalk and a bit with the fence maybe. And so I did like that composition, and I did mess with it a bit, and it's rather pleasing. And you can put trees in the foreground or not. You could put a fence in the foreground or not. But I was just playing with that. Alright, here's one I really like, which is in drab colors, and it's just foliage. It was just saying, how messy can I be? Now, what I did with this is I did a bunch of blotchy foliage, and then I went through and detailed it, and I said, well, this looks like this could be like a plant here, and this could be one sort of like that. And then this over here looks like I could do this and this. And so I put all the watercolors on first, and then I took the pen and I found the foliage. So that was a good practice. I don't know what's going on. Trias Interruptus attempt there. Bit of a drawing that hasn't... See, I wanted the house to be too close and block a bunch. This is cute. It's being worked on. Let's see. Trias Interruptus. Can hardly see the house over there. And this one's got a little garden gate going into a little cottage. Trees are a little wanting. See, my drawings are getting pretty elaborate there. That's, I think, going to be a waterfall we see over there to the far side. And the field, oh, that's a cute little field there, huh? A little rose, that's in progress. This is a painting I saw on the wall at Olive Garden, or it was a picture, some black and white picture of Italy. The human figure is not very good, but the composition was fun. I'd like to paint that someday and make it look good. Alright, this house is apparently on fire. There's a fucking hell of a lot of smoke coming out of that baby. Alright. Oh, I think we're at the end of my booklets. I have actually another 5 or 10 booklets around somewhere, but they're scattered about. Siberian something, cabin. I had to work on this one. That cabin used to be just so far away, and I had to darken it and bring it out. Oh, and there's that composition I like with the covered bridge. Quite pleasing. Oh, this is my my new kitty. My old kitty died, and this is my new kitty. This is Aurora, but the old kitty Persephone died. So now we have Aurora. Alright, so we'll try to get to those in a second. We'll get to those in a second. More watercolors. That composition again in a nice frame. You could pick up these frames for cheap, and that frame's a bit gaudy, but I liked the old-fashioned look of it. A little bit less gaudy of a frame here, and I've put 2 watercolor bridges in there just because I didn't have anything else that fits. I know it's tacky. I'll take them out someday if I have half a desire to do so. On Shizen textured paper, that's pretty bad. I don't have any distance. And this I've got a little bit of distance. That back hill is a little lighter colored. It's okay. That's a Tim Wilmot composition. And here we have my dad's farm truck, a Tim Wilmot French village. I think this is mine. I've done this a lot. I don't know where it came from. And then this is my dad's farm with the leaning haystack and the leaning post. And then these 4 are done in very bold palette. And I was just in a bad mood or a good mood, I don't know, but I was doing a very, very bold palette. And let me take them off of the thing. And it ended up okay. Pretty cute, I think. I really liked them. And I used this composition on that long, wide canvas that I had. Alright, these are a couple more full-sized watercolors. That is not done, but it's being worked on. And I just liked lots of nice lime green. I love big expanses of lime green because it's my favorite color. This one is being worked on. This is going to be lovely. It's a freight engine. I wasn't paying attention when I was doing the freight cars, and then I got up here to the front and I said, oh crap, they're shorter than the engine, so I don't know what I'm going to do to fix it. That's why I stopped, and when I hit that I just put it to the side. I said, well, this freight cars were looking so good. A tree that's working. I've done another version of this I've finished up pretty well. Problem here is the sky's very dark. So as I finish it up, everything else here down here is going to have to get darker and darker. And I want to leave light behind the tree, but I've got these angles wrong. So the angle should be such that we could see past the tree. Right now we'd just be looking at the ground, so that's a disaster. Here is a Italian village. Hard to tell exactly what's going on, but there's some very light pencil marking there that will allow us to have a sense of setting, and it's going to be nice when it's done. This is somebody's porch, and it's in Arizona. And so once I get it done, if I ever do, this background is desert and a bit of cactus and red rock. And surrounding the porch is sort of barren cactus, red rock. And this is called the Cheese Merchant. He's selling cheese. My human figures aren't that great, but this is somebody else's composition. I just copied it. Here's the Tim Wilmot composition, which I changed up a little bit. He had something else going on the left. Now this red thing here is supposed to be a shadow, so if I ever go back and work on it anymore, maybe it will become a shadow, but right now it's just wonky. Now this one I like, but the color values are just very bad. There's these dark colors and that huge dark shape in the middle. But otherwise, the boat detail, the distance, there's some things here that work. It's okay. The foreground and these details with these little bits here is pretty good. It's alright. There's some things that work, just the color values were very, very off. Okay, one day I took some calendar pages and I said, I'm just going to paint with black on those calendar pages. So that's what I conceived, and I liked that fence over there. This is one of the early things where the fence started coming around. And then I said, well, what if the fence was all the way from the top to the bottom right there? So I liked that. And those were done quick in, 20 seconds. So after I finished those, I looked around. I didn't have anything large to paint on until I noticed I do have something large to paint on. I got these styrofoam slabs. Now I keep these around because they're useful for doing landscaping inside of model railroads. So I've got some of this tucked away in some cupboard somewhere, usually. And I went to the cupboard and I got them, and I had several large sheets like this. Now isn't that an interesting painting with the bridge kind of, it takes up a lot of the canvas. And in fact, I've seen versions where the bridge takes up even more of the canvas. And I just liked that so much, I had to try it. And let me show you my acrylic version of it. I was going to do this in the other video, but I neglected to get the painting down. Now, what turned out right there is a couple of things. Lighting and stuff's okay. What turned out wrong I didn't like was the bridge is too small. And see, compare it to that. The bridge taking up a huge amount of the canvas. The bridge taking up almost none of the canvas. Now, it's fine by itself, but when you compare it to what I was thinking of when I started out, it needs help. So that's the bridge. Okay, look, I think that's the I've done some others. Let me show you. Justin wanted me to adjust these two flower pots, so I'll just mention those real quick. I put a bit of, he wanted a source of light on them. Yeah, I don't know if that's any better than it was before, but I think it probably is. It certainly follows the rule a little better. There's the sky patched up a bit on that, or at least whited out so that it's more reasonable. So thanks for your suggestions and motivation on that, Justin. Alright, that's most of my watercolors. It's not. I've got dozens more, but I can't be bothered to pull all those out. That's my watercolor little booklets. That's what I guess I wanted to show you, was those little booklets. Well, thanks for tuning in. Make yourself some of these booklets. You just buy some watercolor paper, you cut it up into little strips, and fold it in half, and I just staple the edge with a stapler, and I do 4 pages. And if you do back to back, if you do a painting on this side, then the paint will transfer to each other. I learned that the hard way. So just paint on the one side, do different sizes, remember that, little teeny one, medium sized one, large one. The little teeny one is just this large one cut into 3. So, get yourself some watercolor papers, get yourself a little traveling watercolor kit. Do you know about these? The koi, got Japanese one. And inside you got this pen with water in it. And so you don't need water supplies, you've got your palette, you got everything you need right there. It'll fit in your coat pocket or whatever. There's no excuse. And then that, with a couple of these, and 1 or 2 nice black pens, or a pencil or 2, little teeny thing, right? Fits in the palm of your hand, and you'll never be without the ability to draw and paint wherever you go. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining me. Come come back and see more about painting or philosophy or whatever I do next.